Well, hello there. I'm Mike Squires, and this is the Couchers Podcast, episode number 171. This episode features my conversation with Joe Plummer. Joe Plummer is an extraordinary drummer who has played with The Shins, Modest Mouse, Blackheart Procession, Cold War Kids, uh, killer drummer. Also, co-operates Ruinous Media and has a few of his own podcasts, namely Tour Stories, and he's got some other new stuff coming up. He drops a hint, not even a hint, he just says the name of his new podcast, which kind of says a lot. If you can tell what a podcast is precisely just by the title, which you can with this one, I think. I mean, he didn't go into detail, but I'm pretty sure I know what it's about. But you're gonna have to listen to get there. Anyway, check out his podcasts, Tour Stories. He's got, with all of his years of touring in the most popular indie rock bands around, he has made a lot of friends. So it's really a virtual who's who of really awesome indie rock and rock and roll guests telling tour stories, because it's called Tour Stories. Get it? Anyway, I had a great time talking with Joe. He's rad. If you're enjoying the podcast or the videos that we make, please support us at Patreon, patreon.com/couchriffs. I don't know how I came up with that. That's how this happens. That's how I'm able to afford to make these videos. That's how I mean, it's how it happens. And so thank you so much. It's also the only place that you can download the audio of all these cover songs that I'm making every week. So I know that it's not a huge thing, but it is the only place. You could always listen to it on YouTube, but what a pain in the ass. I think that YouTube is the biggest music provider in the world now. Is that true? What a pain in the ass. Anyway, thanks for supporting Couch Riffs on Patreon. You're great. Also, thank you to River City Guitars in Spokane, Washington, rivercityguitars.com, or at River City Guitars on social media. Come here, Mr. Big. They are always buying collections, individual pieces. Come here, buddy. Say hi to the people. These are great folks. I got this Steve Stevens guitar here from them. And I would never send you anywhere where I didn't go myself, So they also will be carrying this guitar, the Marvin Guitars CN90, which I co-designed to help celebrate the 100th episode of the Couchers podcast. So that will only be available for independent guitar stores. The other place that is hanging one on the wall right now is the Guitar Shop New York, which is also the Labella showroom, Labella Strings showroom. And that is in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, so thank you to all our friends who are helping out, all the shops that are carrying the guitar, and to River City Guitars. Thank you. I love you guys. If you have something you want to, talk to them about selling or trading or whatever, we're working out some kind of deal, shoot them an email, sales.rivercityguitars@gmail. Tell them I sent you. We're like family. I think that's it. Don't forget the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Imagine how great the world would be if that was how everyone conducted their lives. It would just be better. Be a better place. If you just weren't a dick. I'm not saying you are a dick, but, generally speaking, if people just weren't dicks, it'd be great. You hear me? Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Better.
Good. Take it out, blow on the connection, then plug it back in. You know, a buddy of mine who used to do tech support, told me that the number one thing was that things weren't plugged in properly.
Yeah,
Number one, always. And so he would have them do that, like
yeah.
unplug, blow on it, and then
Blow on
check
it.
in because he'd say, "Hey, have you checked your connection?" "No, I know how to plug my
You
shit in."
fucking plug this thing in 10 times a day.
Yeah, I know what plugging in is. And he said that always worked.
That always works.
I just blow on it, plug it back in. Sometimes he would make them blow on it extra. I can tell you're
Yeah.
not going hard enough. It's
Uh,
classic. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. I'm
I
hanging
am
in there.
trying to. I'm doing something experimental. Um, I've got this thing, which is a spire. Do you have one of these?
What is that? Oh, that's one of those isotope
Isotope.
things.
Yeah.
I
So
calibrate some of their plugins.
you do?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, they're our sponsor. We love it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's that? What's having a sponsor like? That sounds great.
It's pretty good. It's a game though. It's a game you got to play.
Of course
It's
it
a
is.
little funny. Yeah, we have that and this glasses company.
Well,
They make.
dude, check it out. I mean, I don't mean to stroke your guys' empire too much, but I heard about the glasses company on. You see this? You see
Are
this?
you wearing Caddis glasses?
That's correct.
Holy
Huh?
shit.
I need a little bell. Ding! I need a bell to ring.
Dang, dang, a sales bell.
Yeah.
Wow.
The funny
Here, I'll
thing,
wear mine too.
the funny thing about these things is, I thought about it for a long time, and I've always gone with the classics. And I was like, I'm gonna go with something modern, make me look
Yeah.
downtown, make me
Down.
look like I could like curate at an art gallery or something.
Yes.
And so I grabbed these things, and I love them. My head is still getting used to them underneath the weight and pressure of the headphones, sort of
Yeah. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
pinching my ears. But I didn't realize about the blue blocker thing. So
Yeah,
like the lenses are a little blue, but looking at a screen all day with these things is fucking incredible.
it is. Less fatigue.
It's wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you like them. Yeah, I wear mine all the time, and I also wear the plus ones now,
What is
which
that?
well, that's the magnetism.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Like what? There's a frame called the plus one. What does that mean?
No.
Like it's like your buddy's buddy.
Yeah. It's that would be a good copy for an ad. Bring your plus one with your
Yeah,
plus
the
ones.
plus one. It's like
No
it's
plus two.
wearing the band's T-shirt. Your buddy
Yeah.
wouldn't wear your shirt to your gig, but
Yeah.
your buddy would.
Yeah. But it's weird. I went to the eye doctor right before I got them, and I was thinking that I needed them, and my eye doctor, my first eye doctor I've ever been to, I'm acting like I go to the eye doctor all the time. It was the first time in, how old am I now? 27. So the first time in like a long time that I've ever been to an eye doctor, and she said you don't need any glasses. Then I got these things, and I was like, I do need them. What's going on?
Right. Well, I wear contact lenses,
Oh, you
but
do? Yeah.
there's this all this mucky muck involved with correcting your vision especially as you get older. So
Yeah.
as you get older, your near vision is just shot, right?
Right. Yeah.
For a while, they had me on this one eye strong, far, one eye near program, and that's just confusing. So I bailed on that, and I was just like, give me the far stuff, and I'll go with the reading glasses.
Yeah.
Just leave them on all day. It's kind of fun.
It is fun. It's a new us.
How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
No, I don't care. Fucking 35.
No, you're not.
48 actually.
I was like, buddy, if you're 35, I played basketball with you when you were 12.
48.
Yeah, okay. I'm 49. I'll be 50 this year.
You will.
Yeah.
I'm going to a 50th birthday this summer. I
Yeah,
just
me too.
secured those plans.
Mine's in Nashville. Where's yours?
Mine is in Sisters, Oregon.
Sisters, Oregon. Where's that?
Hmm. I don't know. I think it's just a little bit south, and I know it's east of Portland. I
Like,
think it's in the Cascade Mountain Range, but I don't know how far south it is from Portland. Takes about 5 hours to get there. 5 hours and 19 minutes from my house.
do you live right in town? Like
I
south?
live in the southern part of western Seattle.
You live in Seattle.
I do. You thought I live in Portland, didn't you?
Oh, I mean, I met you in Seattle, but then I used to see you in Portland.
Yeah.
You live in
Everyone.
Portland?
I lived in Portland for 11 years.
Yeah, see?
Guess where you would have thought I lived when I lived in Portland?
Right. Well, I mean,
You would have gone, you live in, wait, you live in Portland now?
yeah.
It's a funny thing, but it's happened. Now it's over 20 years, roughly, that when I lived in Portland, people thought I lived in Seattle. And then when they got used to that, I moved to Seattle.
It's good to keep them guessing.
Yeah. Did I see you in Seattle, though, in West Seattle at a coffee shop one day
Probably.
on Duff's
Enjoyed
birthday?
coffee. On Duff's birthday?
Yeah.
Um, perhaps. Was I with Duff? Is that why it would be
Yeah.
memorable?
And it was
Probably.
weird because it was a block from my house.
Oh,
And maybe you guys had just shot a video or
that
something in West
makes
Seattle.
sense. That would have been a bunch of years ago.
Yeah, it's like 7 years ago,
Yeah.
6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I was holding a dog. I was holding a Scottish Terrier.
did I stop and just and make the same reference that I always do? Like, hey, do you remember me? We played basketball a couple times. That's
I
all
think,
I know to do.
I don't know if you did that. I think we just started talking, and then I may have just recently flown with Duff on a plane because we always took the same flight, frequently took the same flight. And God, it was weird because it was Duff's birthday, but maybe, what is it? Do you remember what day his birthday is?
February
First?
9, 7, or
Okay.
9, something like that. Yeah.
Mine's the first. I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, yeah, I don't remember what we said, but it was funny
yeah.
running into you and Duff, and I was holding a dog, and Duff wanted to pet the dog.
He's a dog lover.
Yeah. And I think right then he was on that was the week before I saw him on the plane and he had a dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he'll take his dogs with him around. He's not afraid of that. You know, I
Mm.
don't trust people who don't like dogs.
I don't know if I do either.
Like what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't like dogs. What do you mean you don't like dogs?
Yeah, what does that mean? You like people better than dogs? Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck with that. Good luck being bitter on your deathbed. Bitter and disappointed.
My dog might not be able to invest my money properly, but he certainly won't fucking steal it.
Do you know what your dog would do if he had the power to invest your money, though? He would invest it with a lot of heart.
Yeah.
He would,
And if he
things that
could,
mattered, like
yeah,
just happiness, belly rubs,
yeah.
uh,
Weather.
yeah, nice one, squirrel bait. You know,
I caught a squirrel the other day
you did or your dog did?
on accident.
Oh,
We have mice living under my shed,
sure. We have that.
and I thought they were rats, but they're mice, and I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
They leave all those weird little turds everywhere.
I just don't like it. I just feel like they're gonna do something It's just they're gonna fuck something up. So I'm catching them with a trap called a have a heart trap, and it's just a trap.
Yeah.
My neighbor has mice too, and he catches them all the time. But you catch them, and then I don't. You release them somewhere. That's the next step.
You release them in front of your unliked neighbor's home.
Yeah. And within an hour, I got a squirrel.
Wow.
Poor guy, he was scared.
Squirrels are all right. Do you know Don Gunn?
No.
He's a Seattle engineer,
Hmm.
producer, mixing guy.
Maybe I do.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah.
He used to manage two sticks or four sticks or whatever it was called. Two sticks,
Stu-
4 6 six sticks a dollar.
Was it in a studio? The
The
Sticks?
studio, yeah, the one up in the belonged to McGurr.
Oh, that's what he called. Oh, I didn't know he called it that.
He was the
Interesting.
postman there. Yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
he has this studio in his backyard, this great little studio, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just got this fucking wild kingdom going on where
Mm.
he like squirrels will crawl right on his shoulder and he'll like feed him peanuts out of his mouth. It's insane.
Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do that,
I wouldn't do that.
but
I
also my dogs would fucking tear them to shreds if they.
Yeah.
My
My
dog
dog
unfortunately caught some squirrels.
yeah, Sonny wants to catch some squirrels.
What
He's
did you
eager.
tell me about Sonny?
Sonny is named after, most importantly, Sonny is named after Sonny Smith from Sonny and the Sunsets,
I don't know.
whom I've been in a band with and recorded a little bit with. And I had toured with him 2 years ago, a few dates, and my, at the time, 4 or 5 year old was like, where were you again? You weren't with Cold War Kids. And I was like, no, I was with Sonny Smith. Like, Sonny Smith. I was like, Sonny and the Sunsets. He's from Sonny and the Sunsets. And about 5 minutes later, we're eating dinner, and we were trying to figure out what to name our dog. And Wilson, my son, named our dog Sonny and the Sunsets Smith. Smith is my wife's last name, so it all kind of came together. So he has a pretty elaborate name. Um,
Do you ever call him by his full name, like when you're angry, if he's digging a hole or something, like you would if you're addressing your son?
no, but I do call him by his full name when I'm introducing him to people that I don't know and maybe won't like.
That's a good idea.
It seems kind of like, well, what's that dude's dog's name? Let's not go around that dude anymore. That's a weird, long name.
You see those blue blocker glasses he was wearing?
So that's his name, Sonny and the Sunset Smith, and he is black and turning silver, though he's only 2.
Yeah.
He has a golden doodle father and a golden doodle mother,
Wow.
and he had 16 siblings.
Really?
By the time they were all a couple months old, he had 14 siblings. Only 2 of them died. And they're big old dudes. He may come in here. I don't know.
Hey, are you from the Tri Cities, or do you
No.
know all those guys?
I know lots of them.
Yeah.
I know them. It's interesting because I know Mendel from Sunny Day Stuff, basically. I know Chad Ronaldson from being in a hardcore band with him. And then I know Watros from being in the Shins.
Right. Oh yeah.
And they, like Watros and Mendel's parents knew each other. But Nate and Chad know each other. But it's strange. a lot of the Tri-City people I know don't know each other, which seems next to impossible.
That's so
They
weird.
kind of do, you know.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Northern California,
Oh, you did where?
a town called Mariposa until I was about 12 or 13. That's by Yosemite.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I know where that is.
I think it still has a population of 5,000 people.
I've done a bunch of road work through there,
You
driving
have?
whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I moved to the East Bay
Where?
until Pleasanton, the burbs,
I was
just
born in
east of
Concord.
Oakland. Oh, you are, so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practically
Right
related.
there. Yeah. We used to There was a skeet ditch in between. If you went the back way in between Pleasanton and Concord,
Yep.
near the Devil's Workshop, which was a head shop
Yeah.
in the canyon. Somehow we were able to go in there when we were 15 and 16. That was fun. Tie dye shirts.
They're all those yeah, all those ditches, all those what are they? They're just
Drainage
if it
ditches. Yeah.
rains, yeah, drainage ditches help
Yeah.
mediate flooding, right?
Yeah.
I would ride my BMX bike through there because there's always inevitably every single one of them has a bike trail next to it.
Sure. Yeah.
Just fucking bomb into them. You know, some kid, if there was some cyclone fencing in front of it, someone inevitably was like, let's fuck this up and have some fun."
Yeah. Yeah. We spent a lot of time just kind of breaking things, large things like fences and walls. I don't know why. You just sit there for a while and then you like tear apart something while you're waiting to take your run on the ditch. I don't know what it was.
Don't you think that there's a part of being young where you're like, some old asshole built this thing, we should fucking tear it down?
I think so. I think that's where a lot of like, for me, graffiti and light vandalism comes from.
Light vandalism, it's like marijuana use.
I used to, it's part of skate culture to tag stuff up and practice your art. We used to do that all over the place.
What was your tag? Do you remember?
I don't remember. But I did when I was really young. I hung out with really young, being like 12. It was a small town again in Mariposa, and it was right before I moved to Pleasanton. And in a small town, you find yourself family friends. You know, families are friends more than kids, just kids.
Yeah.
So if your neighbor happens to be 15 and you're 12, you're still going to be friends with them, right?
Hell yeah.
Or if
And
you're
they were going to have a lot of influence on you.
Exactly. So I knew 15 and 16-year-old punkers, but they were also friends with my parents. So it was cool for me to ride around with them in cars and listen to punk records. And my point of this whole thing is make patches for the back of your jacket
Oh, fuck yeah.
with art on them and probably your favorite record art, and then your name on the bottom, your like gang name. And my gang name was Ho, Ho.
Oh,
And it was short for Jose because everyone called me Jose.
nice. Hey, let me ask, what year did you end up in Pleasanton? How old were you?
I was 13.
Oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember, since you were in proximity to Concord, do you remember KVHS?
I don't.
Do you know Clayton Valley High School?
Yes.
They had a radio program for the students.
Yeah.
It was kind of like KCMU, back in
Yeah.
the day
Yeah.
before they got fancy funding and all that. And oops, KVHS was, god damn it. I am not a technical guy. I need a producer. KVHS was run by the high school kids, and because so I was in the 7th grade. It was 1984, 5,
Five. Yeah, probably.
that, yeah. And it was all metal, all thrash metal,
Thrash metal.
crossover
Yeah.
punk, like skate punk.
Uh
So
huh.
you hear like Death Angel, Testament, I mean, Ride the Lightning was the new Metallica record,
Yeah. Right.
and fucking Possessed and Slayer and all and Suicidal Tendencies. It was just like nonstop amazing
Yeah.
because it was run by high school kids, and that was what ruled everything back then.
All of those bands ruled my life back then, and then some.
Oh yeah.
I mean, crossover was such a beautiful thing for my life. And
Oh
my first band was crossover microculturally and sonically. It was, I ran out of, in Pleasanton, I was, I had been playing drums. None of my skater friends played music except for one, and he was a drummer. So we would nerd out about drums. But at some point, I was like, I want to start a band. I like DRI and Capital Punishment, and I want that band to sound like those
yeah.
bands.
See, they had maybe only put a thing out, right?
COC?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably before. What it was Animosity? Is that it? Probably. And then I think it was they were probably on Animosity, and then that crazy record Technocracy came out,
Right.
which I was on a COC deep dive not too long ago, about a month ago, and that record isn't listed anywhere. That was the first time they had a different singer, and it's not listed in some of their discographies and stuff, and it's
Weird.
very weird to me because I love that record. It's a crazy record.
Does it also have the? Is that the one with the cover of Green Manalishi on it?
What is on the cover? I
But
stared
it's
at the
called
back
something
cover
else.
so
I
much.
swear they call it something else.
Oh, really?
But it's a Judas Priest song, or not? It's a Fleetwood Mac song that Judas Priest
Yeah, yeah.
covered.
God, wait, oh no, you know what's on the cover of Technocracy is a bunch of like toxic waste
Yeah,
barrels.
toxic, and
Yeah.
maybe like black and white or something.
Yes, black and white, and then the back is this wonderful kooky color photo of the band, and someone's wearing an SNFU t-shirt like every cool band. Why did SNFU get so many props from so many people?
I don't know. Surely there's a band these days that's the same way.
I
That
think Kerry King makes sure that there's an SNFU sticker on his guitar for the last 30 years. And then Greg Hetson, I just saw a month old Greg Hetson interview, and he's wearing an old SNFU shirt. Another one of my favorite bands. Um, but what I was getting at was at that time, crossover and thrash was so important to me. I was not over punk, but I was starting to get into the metal stuff. Maybe because I don't know why. I like the energy of it. Maybe that seemed more technical or something. I'm not a
it's a more
technical guy.
technical, challenging stuff. Like it
Yeah,
appealed as a guitar player. It appealed to me because it wasn't just fast moving bar chords. It was like
yeah,
rhythmically it was maybe a little more boring, but it required a little more precision. Of course, I never lived up to the challenge of technicalities.
right. Nor have I. But so no skater friends played music. Started to become friends with the rockers, and my friend Jason and I just started hanging out. He did not skateboard. He had long hair. He wore a jean jacket. He wore puffy Nikes. It was about as
Sounds great.
uncool and unskater as you can get. But we just emerged ourselves in each other and like had a perfect. He just got into my all of my punk records. He gave me every Slayer record. Again, Capital Punishment was this bonding band for both of us, and of course, DRI Crossover was our reference point to everything. And we started a band.
Did you guys make a record and do
No,
all the stuff, or it was like just the two of you?
just the two of us in the garage. We had a bass player for a little bit, my friend Josh. Um, but it was mostly me and Jason for the most part. But no shows, no records.
When was the first time? So how long had you been playing at that point? And were you a school music program kid? How'd you get into the drums?
I wasn't well. Let's see. I was in seventh grade. I was in school music, and the end of sixth grade. So the end of sixth grade, I was in the drum program, which wasn't much. I had switched from clarinet to drums. Seventh grade, junior high, stuck with the drums, especially because it promised drum kit play.
Yeah.
And Mr. Williams, I think his name was Bill Williams, but the music teacher, I don't think I'd play music. There's a chance that I wouldn't have been still playing drums if it wasn't for him, because we had all of, well, how old are you in seventh grade? 13. We had all the people playing strings, and we had some electric bass players, and of course, drum kit drummers. But he would do arrangements of pop songs with all of these instruments, and that's all we played. Like, we did a Duran Duran song, and he would just arrange it to keep us all. I don't know why he did it, but it kept us all interested. And I was just
Probably
like, wow,
fun
I'm
for
playing
him, right?
a song I like.
Probably fun for him and
Sure.
kept
Yeah.
the kids interested. They're not like, what is this dumb shit?
Yeah. This complicated symphonic music on paper. Yeah. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So then I moved. And then when I got into eighth grade, I had moved to Pleasanton. And I was in the music program I wish I would have stayed in, but I was just like, fuck this. I don't know. I can't remember exactly why.
Because fuck the man, dude.
Kind of fucked the man, and probably I was probably not good at reading my music.
Well, you're a kid too.
Yeah.
So fuck everything and fuck what
And then,
says.
yeah. But
Great,
then
great.
it's like, I can go home and play my drums. Why do I need this class?
Right. How old's your son now?
6.
Brace yourself, buddy.
Yeah. We have our first soccer game.
Oh,
That's why I have a tight 4.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I bumbled around and went to Gilman Street and stuff until I was 16, and then I moved to Seattle.
You know, we may have been skipping school and taking the BART into San Francisco at the same time to, I'd go in there, smoke my ragweed joints and
Yeah.
what did I have? Like a GNS Mike Smith or something. I'd
Oh
ride
my
around back
gosh.
then. I'd fucking, I was going for it. I was like, fuck Valley View. I don't need to be here.
Did you ever go to Golden Gate Park on Sundays with a skateboard?
No, I
Because
was
they
never a good
close all the
skater.
streets.
I was a shitty skater.
Yeah.
I was terrible.
But you could park on Haight Street and buy records and eat at Escape from New York Pizza,
Right. No,
and
there's a
skate in the
lot of
park and maybe see Tommy Guerrero.
I would cruise around and mostly just buy records with my paper out money
Yeah.
because I always had a hustle where I was making money so I could buy records.
Yeah.
Did you see any shows at the Cow Palace when you were a kid?
No. No. My first show was at some teen center in Dublin.
Uh huh.
It was a hardcore band called Rabid Lassie,
Uh huh.
and maybe Tyrannicide. Probably both those bands. And then maybe another one at a all ages thing in Pleasanton. And then Gilman Street. I had an older friend that my parents trusted, and he would take me to Gilman Street and promptly deliver me home when he said he would, and I wasn't wasted when I got home. And I went to like every show I could possibly go to.
What? Tell me some standouts.
A standout. I'm starting to get them mixed up, but there were unbelievable things that Neurosis probably the first time I saw them.
Wow.
Right, just bonkers, bonkers.
Picture for folks so they know how well, the size of this club.
I think the 300 capacity warehouse,
Great.
spray painted, looks like a movie set. Would look like a movie set to most people, but it was a real thing. Stage in the corner on Gilman Street, which was technically, I can't remember if it was Berkeley or not, but it was in the industrial zone just west of the school near the freeway. Um, cool neighborhood, really. I'm sure it's a fancy neighborhood now, but it was a warehouse neighborhood with some stores. And you would go to Gilman, this nondescript warehouse, and if you drove by it in the daytime, which I took my dad to once, driving back from San Francisco skating, he was like, "Okay, I want to see what this place is like because I know where Gilman Street is, and why would you go see a band in that part of Berkeley?" So
Right.
we drove by it, and that was the first time I saw it. I guess I had gone there in the light, but it was the first time, just like in the daytime, I saw it, and I was like, "You're right, Dad. I think that's it right there. It
Right.
says 924." Um, so yeah, again, warehouse, spray painted, punkers, all kinds of punkers, all kinds of people. Everyone was invited, and everyone definitely went. Um, I believe I saw Operation Ivy and Neurosis on the same bill.
Wow.
I know that I saw Primus
Oh.
and possibly Green Day on the same bill there.
What? So
Uh,
wait a minute. What year did you see Primus? That would have been like '88.
yeah, seven.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, 87. And
Was
I would go to the Berkeley Square, another venue, a lot too, which was really close to the university.
first guitar player, or was Larry already in the band? Do you know?
Larry was always in the band,
Well,
and yeah, I didn't ever see anything without Larry, I don't think.
I mean, I don't know so much about when they got super carnival-y, but when they were just fucking aggro, young, fucking freak funk weirdos,
Yeah,
unmatched,
I agree. It was,
unmatched ferocity and
yeah,
fucking high weirdness. I
yes,
still love the first two records, three records.
yeah. And Suck on This, you do, that was the first record, right? And it was live, and that was recorded at Berkeley Square.
Incredible.
And I saw them there a lot. There was a Taco Bell across the street, and it was a pretty big parking lot. And I remember skating there. You know, you get to the show 45 hours before it started, and I skated with Larry one time, which was like I couldn't believe what was happening.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I all those bands, Mr. T Experience, I saw a million times. I saw Firehose and Primus at Berkeley Square together. I think the Accolades was possibly a pre-Primus band, but was Larry and no Larry. I don't know. I
Did
could.
you ever get into the Mr. Bungle thing? Did you see them back then?
I never did see them back then. Um, I never did.
What a fucking
I
place.
lived in Santa Rosa after I graduated from high school here in Seattle because I moved to Seattle from the Bay Area, and my roommate was friends with Trey from Mr. Bungle,
Yeah.
and he used to come to our house and regale us with stories from the road and have crazy videos of people eating people and stuff like that. Not really, but extreme stuff like that.
Right, crazy shit.
Back then, yeah. What
Yeah,
was that? Pictures of death, or what was those stupid
faces of
videos
death.
called? Yeah. Ugh.
God.
I didn't like
No, you
that.
want to get a sick stomach and you're feeling, watch one of those videos.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there's just that voice accompanying the whole thing. This man
That's right. Oh
did
God, I didn't even think about
many
that.
people, but he was soon to find out,
Yeah.
whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So no, I never did get into the bung. Only from my friend's friend did I ever like think about that band. I kind of like it though. It's insane.
And, I've seen them on, minus the last record. They played 3 shows for that tour. They played
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn Steel and somewhere in San Francisco, somewhere in LA. I think that's it. It was
Mm-hmm.
like an old thrash album that they sort of reworked and redid.
That's right. I heard it. Yeah. Didn't they
Pretty
record some
great.
of it at
They've got
606?
Lombardo playing drums. It's fucking
Yeah.
pretty ridiculous. But I saw them on every other record on tour.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, monsters.
Yeah.
Artists.
Artists.
Fucking
Did,
artists.
you know what fits into that category pretty well was Victim's Family. Did you ever
Oh,
see that
dude.
band? Wow. And that kind of, if I had to pick in that little teeny subgenre of that time, I think Victim's Family was the ones that were killed me. And I lived in Santa Rosa for a little bit, so I got to see them.
I never saw them.
Yeah.
But did you know Lonnie King? Lonnie King was in a band called Image in Seattle that would play.
IMIJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know him. No.
He was amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in 20 years. I hope he's around still. He's
Yeah.
a lovely guy and a very talented guy, but he was a huge. He turned me on to, like Double Nickels. I was a
Yeah.
Firehose fan, but I didn't know. I didn't know to go backwards.
Right. Yeah.
I learned about Firehose from fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers. Literally,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a country kid.
A lot
Um,
of people learned about Firehose from REM too.
all right. Well, yeah, they toured with them.
Yeah. And I think they have a song called For the Singer of. No. Firehose has a song called For the Singer of REM. Is that right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sounds remarkably like him.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Um, so at this point in our timeline, how old are you, and are you playing in bands or in a band?
At this point in our timeline, I am just reluctantly moving to Seattle.
Reluctant.
I didn't want to move. My parents were moving, and in fact, they said this was one of the biggest. I feel like this is one of the first adult, or let's say mature decisions I made. But for a while, I had to finish a quarter or something, and we had some great family friends, and I was going to finish a quarter in Pleasanton and then move up to Seattle. It would have broken my parents' heart, I believe, but it was a loose option to finish the school year there in Pleasanton and then try to get back to Seattle. But I thought about it. I really didn't want to go. I was like, I hadn't been north of Lake Shasta. I had never been to Oregon. I didn't know anything about Washington State at all, except Fallout Records. And I used to buy records from them and get their monthly magazine
Right.
and or whatever it was, catalog. And so at that point I decided while I was finishing that quarter in high school that I was going to be brave and move to Seattle and be on my own and not have friends and just worry about skateboarding by myself and getting better at drums.
And how old are you? 17?
I'm 16. Yeah,
16.
16. I had a girlfriend. God, I was bummed. But I decided to just do it. And I guess the one thing that gave me this glimmer of hope was just assumed I was going to go into Fallout Records and get a job there.
Did you?
No. There were 2 employees for the entire life of that record shop, or 3 maybe.
Did Scott Bauer work there?
Ooh, I can't remember. I thought it was just the 3 people whose names I can't remember.
I don't know.
So yeah, so I was still not really in bands. I was just playing with Jason, and then I moved up here and got over my sadness, and through skateboarding again, met some guys. But it was a good variety. There was a bass player, skateboarder, and a guitar player, and a singer, and
And who were these?
so um, let's see. One of the bands was um, God, it was Brett and Dave, and our band was called Turtle Envy.
Nice.
And these guys were just out of high school,
They were
but they were incredible
yeah.
players, and they were like grunge guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we did. Never did like that name. We did change it to Cast eventually.
That's a much better name.
Caste.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
a way
sound.
better
Yeah,
name.
it's like a nothing
Kind of
name. It's
political
better
now.
than Turtle Envy.
That's a I'll agree with you. That's not a good name.
It's too goofy. It's just too dumb. Sorry, everyone who thought that was a good idea. Um. So, anyways, I started playing with them. Then I think I did some version of a band with a friend Mark Serving, and somehow my friend Jens Nordel was in a band, and that was like high school and the end of high school, and we were just playing in my house. My parents let a band that was not me, that I wasn't in, practice in my
Wow,
house.
really?
Yeah, they were cool. They still are cool.
Because they're your friends.
Yeah,
Wow, your folks are cool.
yeah, it was pretty great. It was pretty great. Um, so that yeah, we were just always playing music in my house, upstairs in my bedroom, which was kind of a upstairs living room. My parents spoiled me again because I think they felt a little bit bad about moving me in the middle of high school.
Right.
Whatever. I think it was
You guys,
certainly
you
nice
guys
of them.
live in a split level?
It was kind of a split level house, yeah. It was, but it had a big room upstairs that was a bedroom, but it wasn't a master bedroom, and it just ended up being. It was kind of like rumpus room. What was rec room? It was like a rec room.
Were you guys in Lake Forest Park or North
Woodinville.
Wouldn't I was gonna say these kind of houses they really exist there.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was the vibe, and then I think I moved to Santa Rosa for a year, and went to college, and then moved back and started playing in a hardcore band called Positive Greed.
Was that the first time you started playing gigs?
Yeah, Turtle Envy had played at least one gig. Yeah, um,
Do you recall?
it was at the Seattle Central, or I'm sorry, it was at Seattle University of Seattle. It was at University of Seattle. We opened for Big Yuck Mouth,
Uh huh.
and this Dick of a bass player in Big Yuck Mouth later became a very good friend of mine, Paul Demore.
Oh, sure.
And he was like a cocky jerk. He seemed like it. It's actually not terribly fair for me to say that, but I just was like, why was, I mean, it was my first show ever. I don't know. I was probably like, hey guys, how's it going? How's it going? What are you guys doing? Whoa, is that a bass? No, what's your drums? I don't know. What do we do here? Um,
That was the question I was going to ask you is do you recall the sort of like the stumbling confusion of your first gig? Because
I do.
had joined a band with some guys who had played a lot of gigs.
Hmm.
And I was just like, okay, what do I do? I don't want to look stupid in front of the other people. I'll look stupid in front of you any day of the week because you know me. You already know I'm stupid. Those guys, they don't know shit.
I was nervous. I just remember being nervous. I think I remember being so nervous to being lost and apart.
Right.
You know, it was the beginning of having to know. I guess I had rehearsed enough over the years to where I had parts of songs in my head and I could think about them linearly and, predict them and, play them and think about the past and future and exercise that way. But then you get in front of people and you can't fuck up.
It's a whole different, yeah.
I didn't think you could fuck up at all.
Your first show is kind of like, where there's like that meme with Mike Tyson, and he's like, everyone's got a plan until you punch him in the nose.
Yes.
And you're like the guy that Mike Tyson punched in the nose at your first half a dozen shows, where you're just
Yeah.
like, you your mind is barely there. You're not even touching the ground. You're just like
Yeah.
blind through the flying blind.
I think I was wearing a yellow Descendant shirt that I had made.
Nice.
Yeah. We didn't sound anything like the Descendants, but for some reason I wore that shirt.
They make their own merch. You can make it too.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember it pretty well in the sense that I remember being, I think I kind of came off pretty confident. I was not letting it get to me or to show on my face. But I remember being nervous and then getting lost in a song and then probably not mess. You never mess up as bad as you think, even if it's your first show. Maybe you do. But I don't think I did. And then I remember a little bit of a relief going like, oh God, this is over. Thank God this last chorus, we're done. And I think I was just like, okay, like double checking my work while I was playing. Like,
Right. It's hard. I
yeah.
mean, when you play a show now, do you get any stage fright or nervousness, or do you have any weird anxious ticks?
I always get nervous
You
a
do.
little bit. Yeah, I always get a little bit nervous. Um, for sure. I don't know why. I think maybe the nervousness, I haven't really addressed it, but I think it usually just turns into positive energy and something happens and then it goes away. It's maybe like this artificial hump I create that I have to get over at some point in the show. Or maybe the nervousness stems from things that are out of my control that can happen at a show.
Sure.
Fucking in ears,
Or
monitors failing.
you met the local crew and you're like, this fucking show is not going to come off.
uh, but yeah, so I'm always a little bit nervous to just to hop on stage.
Yeah.
But I'm not nervous improvising,
Right.
which is it's I've come a long way from that for sure. In the rock genre, that is. I feel pretty good. And also I feel like if it gets I start feeling more and more comfortable the closer you get to the cliff when you are improvising.
Right.
And because any band that I've played with in the last 10 years or so that does any improvisation, we've all fallen off the cliff. And if you do it twice, you're like, oh, God, we can fall off the cliff all the time. Sometimes it might be fun.
Yeah, you hit the ground and who cares?
Yeah.
Dust yourself off and you're ready to fall again.
And the audience watch you climb back up. But someone holds it together. Then you have to get creative to get back up
Right.
and kind of be like, yeah, we meant to do that or whatever.
So so you go to Santa Rosa and do a little bit of adult school.
Yeah.
Come back. You're in the band. This is 92,
Yes, exactly.
1992.
It's grunge time.
Oh boy, was it.
Yeah, it was grunge time. And also my little world started. So then I was started playing in this hardcore band. Then I met some people through William Goldsmith, um, who had moved up from the Bay Area, and they were like Gilman volunteer type guys, but they were all the same age as me. Um, and they had had a band called Bare Minimum for about a year, I think, before, but they moved up to Seattle to really, I think, get away from the Bay Area and focus on the band, I think. And I joined that band. And that's when touring and playing shows really happened.
Right.
Got serious.
And that was a lot. How many shows would you guys got in the van? They had a van. Some
Yeah.
a van probably.
We all had jobs, we all were in school, we all collectively saved money for tour. We would do 2 national tours a year.
Wow.
Um
Like month longs or
yeah, usually.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. You probably played 25 shows, right? You had five
Yeah.
nights off or something.
Yeah, and as many local shows as we could. Um,
Right.
we were playing at the Velvet Elvis a lot, Lake Union Pub,
Oh,
anywhere,
great
Redmond
venue for
Firehouse.
Elvis, though.
Incredible, just incredible. I spent so many hours there. So that was, so that was, yeah, that's when got a real taste of just the day in and day out of rock and roll.
Right.
Playing shows, practicing, touring, writing songs, making records.
What were you
We
going to school for?
I studied psychology and ethnomusicology.
Oh, you did.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
And I almost went to grad school for cognitive developmental psych,
Uh huh.
something close to that. Or I got pretty close to applying to a couple programs. I had been interning with um, a doctor here right when I graduated from the UW, and Bare Minimum had stopped touring or wasn't touring as much or something, and I had played one show with the Blackheart Procession to fill in. They flew to Portland, and I drove down there and just played a show without practicing, some Blackheart show at Reed College. It was really fun. Got along with them. And then they asked me when I was in that internship, I was like, I was thinking of moving to LA, and I kind of had an open offer to play with them. So I finished the internship and never applied for grad school and moved to LA and played with Blackheart for 8 years. And then I really, really toured all the time. That was my job for the first time in my life.
I really like that band, and I'll get to that in a second. But were you, in your vision of your studies, were you thinking that you would apply the ethnomusicology side into doing some music therapy stuff?
There was one program that you could get. It was called I had never heard of it. I think it was a MSci, and it was a master's in psychology. It was in the UK.
Hmm.
And I think, yes, to answer your question, I did have that. Once I saw that program, I was like, oh, well, obviously,
Right.
this is what I want to do. And I looked pretty thoroughly into that program, short of applying for it. But yes, I also, that was appealing to me because I was like, if I'm going to make this big decision, I'm out. Why don't I just move to the UK? I had been there once before and I fell in love with it. And
Were you there touring?
no, my dad, when I was 19, my dad used to travel a lot. He had a bunch of miles, and at one point he was like, "We should go on a trip together." And so my dad and I went to the UK for a week, and it was really fun.
Let me take a real quick set. What did or does your dad do? Is he still around? Is he still with us?
Yeah, he's
Right.
retired now, but he was mostly a in sales, I guess you would say, but in the end, he was a marketing manager for a big corporation called Train, American Standard
Uh huh.
plumbing stuff
Oh yeah.
or air conditioners. Um,
Don't you? That's ironic, right?
yeah, my brother was a plumber for about 10 years in
Really?
LA. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We're just gonna breeze over that. um, that's amazing. All right.
Yeah, so they moved around a lot also. I mean, a decent amount. They probably every 5 years, it seemed like we moved. They moved after they moved up here to Seattle. They moved to Hong Kong for 4 years, my
Wow.
parents. And then Minnesota. And then and then back here, I think.
He's a real in-demand sales guy.
I think he was, yeah. Then he retired and became a real estate guy for fun.
I bet he's got a great demeanor.
He's fun. You'd like Bill Plummer. He's
I
a
bet
fun
he's a
guy.
pretty easy guy to talk to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. I'll call your dad next week about the podcast.
Okay.
Uh, so pardon my ignorance because I don't know. I'm late to the party a lot on bands because I'm the kind of asshole that when a new band comes along or when all my friends start talking about a band, they're like, "Oh man, this band is amazing." I'm the assholes is like, "Yeah, whatever. Who cares?" There are very few bands that I see, and catch early, and I'm fully on board with. Um, Murder City Devils is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
only because Derek used to buy produce from me, so I saw one of their shows with like 15 people there, right?
Right.
And there are few others, like very
Right.
few other bands where it's like, yeah, I saw them at a club. Usually I was like, whatever, and because we're trying to do my own thing,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
so I don't think that I didn't learn about Blackheart Procession until I moved to Portland and started hanging out with people who were less like rockers
Right.
and folks that like whatever were into more. They had a more diverse listening palette, and so I was working at Stumptown, of course, and there's just like, you know, it was the that was the place to. I would see you there,
That
uh,
was the
but
center of the universe.
pretty much right, the center of sound,
Really was.
and you could hear, whoever was baristaing, they would sort of be setting the vibe, and I
Yeah.
worked in the roastery, so I learned about a lot of music there. And I'll fuck it up, but what is the album that I like so much that has the tropic thing in the title?
Amore de Tropico or Tropico.
Are you
Amore de Tropico.
are you on that record?
Yeah, that was the first one I was on. I joined.
I fucking love that record.
Thank you.
I've
I
I
do
wore,
too.
I wore a copy out at the roastery. Wore that
Rad.
fucker out.
Thanks. I love that record. I joined the band uh, before three came out.
Hmm.
They recorded two and three at the same time. I, three came out right before it came out. I joined the band. We toured it, and then we made Amore and toured the heck out of that record. And the record did really well.
Yeah,
It was a time of our lives, especially over in Europe. When we play in Italy and we were like rock stars.
that's
It was
amazing.
incredible.
So tell me about the feeling that you would get being on stage, the feeling you'd get off the crowd, the in general, but also the difference of the feeling between playing hardcore shows and getting that energy before and the difference between the hardcore thing, which is a decidedly different vibe you're getting in
Yeah,
music, and this sort of more refined, everyone's listening to everything, like really taking it in.
right.
Um,
Well, I think, yeah, especially with something like, I mean, if we're, well, especially with those two types of music, hardcore is fast. There's not enough space for thought. It's a like at a hardcore show, they're staring at you and gritting their teeth. At a Blackheart show, they might be spacing out with their mouths open. There's a lot of time to just kind of
Drums.
consider. Yeah. Um. So the interaction with the audience, or what I could feel from the audience with Blackheart was you could hear the gasp isn't a good word, but you could hear, you could feel the emotion more than the
Right.
aggression and stomping of of feet and fists at a more aggressive show. Um,
Hard pressed to find a wall of death at a Blackheart show.
right, yeah. Um, but it felt more appreciated in the sense that it felt like people were listening to your music rather than listening to your energy that you were putting off.
Right, in an intellectual way.
Yeah, and Paul does put off a awesome trippy visual, with his weird mic, and he's probably the first guy with a beard back then, or one of the first guys that looked like he looked, and crazy glasses, and he would just stare at people blankly. It was, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he would stare at people blankly, and they couldn't hang.
Right.
And it's like, what
They
the
just like
fuck?
turn them away.
He was so spooky, and with his Bob Barker mic and like his style, it you could feel it. I mean, it was like a little more of an emotion. We were putting out more of emotion and getting it back. And again, the Italian audience and the Belgian audiences, you'd really feel that.
Were you playing theaters there?
Sometimes theaters and castles and like little weird, beautiful castle courtyards, but they'd be seating laid out and candles lining the. It was like there was a couple of shows. I was like, who are we? And it would be adults at the time,
I
what
want
we
to
thought were adults. It'd be like adults and
promoter who
kids.
set these shows up. Like
What's
that's
that?
I want to meet the promoter who set these shows up. And
Oh man, it was like, phew, that was heaven back then. We do a lot of shows with Calexico too, which were at times like even bigger. And then we were like, it was crazy. It was a crazy time.
can I ask you another ignorant question? Maybe you know the answer to this. Are there members of Calexico that are involved in Friends of Dean Martinez? Am I out, am I out of my mind?
I don't know. I
It's
could guess, and I would say yes,
you're
but I
there.
can't.
Okay.
I can't specifically. Yeah.
What a show that would be, the two of those bands.
Yeah.
So eight
Yeah.
years you're doing this.
Yeah. So
And
for 8 years, we made. I mean, we toured so much. Let's see. I only made two records or some EPs over that over those 8 years. Maybe it was seven. Maybe it was nine. Somewhere in there.
yeah,
Um, and then I started Isaac and Jeremiah asked me to loosely asked me to play percussion in Modest Mouse.
hmm
Isaac wanted us to double drum, and I wanted to check in with Jeremiah on that. But I kind of rehearsed with them a little bit, still playing in Blackheart, working on a record, and I told Blackheart guys that Modest Mouse wants me to play with them. It seems kind of interesting. I'm gonna do it if I can, but not. It's not gonna get in the way of our band, or it's not gonna get in the way of Blackheart for me. And there was a time where we were working on the record, and I would fly to Modest Mouse shows
wow,
while they were on tour until we were done tracking for a week, and then I'd continue on tour. And then eventually, so we finished the record, and then things for Blackheart just slowed down to a point where I found myself like, wait, I'm always with Modest Mouse now. And it just kind of slipped.
right,
I just slipped into it. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, guys, a year into it, it's like, I'm moving on,
right,
you know.
and that went for a while.
Then that was about 7 years or so. And
And
then a similar thing happened with the Shins.
but so a bunch you got to do a bunch of interesting like pretty next level stuff with Modest Mouse, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the big year.
It was the big year. I joined the big year when Gallucci was playing guitar, Float On, or supporting Float On. It was crazy.
That and that record won a Grammy. Am I
Nominated.
nominated?
Yeah.
Didn't
Didn't win.
fuck the
It was nominated for like alternatives. It was something like alternative song or record of the year and nominated for song of the year, Float On,
right.
next to U2. Uh, Modest Mouse lost to U2 and Wilco. And I hate those
You'd
fuckers.
have to, yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, especially Wilco. Especially Glenn.
Terrible
Well,
people.
Jeff, actually, I hate them all. Probably hate you too, just as much as I hate those sweet guys from Wilco that I love so much.
uh,
So yeah, that was big time. I mean, it was mostly them. They had worked so hard on that record, and I just got to jump in and celebrate it. Uh, and
okay, I'll gloat. Modest Mouse is another band that I caught early on. I bought the 7 inch
oh
for Dramamine
yeah,
because it got a lot. There was a lot of buzz in Seattle around that band. Huge.
yeah,
I mean, even if you lived under a rock, like they were practically on the cover of The Stranger every week.
that's right. Yeah,
When like from the first show.
yeah,
Um, and I fucking like that band. What a weird band.
yeah,
What a fucking insane uh bit of music. It's just like brilliant brilliantly orchestrated chaos and splatter pop.
yeah. Do isn't someone hasn't there going to be a Mojo article called Modest Mouse is the Grateful Dead or something like that? Our Grateful Dead. Because I think the Modest Mouse could tour forever, just like the Grateful Dead. Similar vibe on the fans,
They don't
in
have
a
to
way. I mean, just
have to
crazy
make a
fans.
record every 2 years. They can make a record every 6 years, and nobody is like, who?
Yeah,
Like everyone is like waiting
yeah,
with bated breath. They're just like, yes,
yeah,
give that to me.
yeah. It was great playing in that band. It was really fun.
So you did some late night show stuff. I've seen
Yeah, SNL, so fun.
who
And
hosted that night.
oh man, I should remember. Oh, I talked to him. He was unhappy with me. Liam, Irish actor.
Liam Neeson
Is that his name?
is like the
Isn't
there's
he?
a guy that's perpetually like saving his kidnapped daughter.
Yes. Is that Liam Neeson or is Liam Neeson who's the Liam
Not Liam.
Neeson? Who's the Neeson that was on SNL?
I don't know. Jimmy
Okay.
Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson. He was the and I knocked on his door. I don't think I was being terribly obnoxious. I just wanted to say I'm excited. Are you? I'd like to meet and he just opened his door and he was just like really just looking at me. I was just like I just like to say hi or something
Yeah.
and shake your hand. And he was like not having it. It
And
wasn't terribly dramatic. It was dramatic to me because he was just like, "Okay, shake my hand and door close."
fuck off.
He could have been fucking nervous though. That's nerve-wracking. SNL. Woo.
Right.
That's the biggest audience ever. Live.
Right.
You can't fuck that one up. You
What are
can't.
some other standout shows that you did?
TV shows?
No,
Oh.
performances, shows. A
Um
lot of festivals.
yeah, a lot of festivals. Lots and lots of festivals.
Yeah,
All
you
of
did
them.
some of the big ones over there in England.
Yeah, Glastonbury, Leeds, Reading, Pukul Pop. Um, all of those big European festivals are great.
Right.
And Lollapalooza in Chicago, the last, I don't
Right.
know how many years, but the last few times I've played it with all of these bands, Cold War Kids, The Shins, and um, Modest Mouse, they're all really good. I don't love festival shows. I don't love them. I think I don't know. It's just such a big production. I feel like it's missed amongst the people. I think people are just there filling in. But it's very stupid of me to think that way. I also don't go. I wouldn't go to a festival.
No, it's pretty hard to love a festival. I would go to a festival to see my friends play if I
Yeah.
didn't have to be out in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Side stage.
That
Yeah.
shit that 50,000 people went and used a porta potty and then touched,
Yeah.
you know?
But yeah, and now I'm kind of going back on what I just said. One of the funnest shows I ever played, big shows, was this show in Germany. It was, I can't remember, it was the first year of this festival. I can't remember, but it was with the Shins. And it's one of the few German shows that's on YouTube with the Shins live. And we, I felt like we and I were bulletproof. Like
This,
we were delivering everything and everything sounded perfect or wonderful rather, not perfect. And I've gone on YouTube and looked at that show, and I'm right. I'm not saying we were. I'm not exactly saying we were fantastic. It was just incredible, and even my drums through a computer on YouTube sound good on that show. Just everything was aligned. I will never forget that show,
Give
except
me
the name of the festival.
actually 1 second. My little dog is on the other side of the desk
Yeah.
here and he's crying. I think my wife is on a bike ride, so I'm going to let him
Okay.
in.
Let him in.
Biggie, come here, buddy. Come on, pal. Oh, you want to come in too, Rosie? Come on. That's my dogs.
Cool.
Come here, buddy. This is Mr. Big.
Oh man,
He's a big lover.
he
Big
looks
lover.
cute.
Um, there's something amazing. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've played a lot of festivals, but typically with bands where there are only, not with a full catalog of well-known songs.
Hmm.
Usually with a hit song or a few songs. Like I was a touring guitar player in Harvey Danger for a little over
Hmm.
a year. Got to go out and do a bunch of fun shit with them. But, you know, people only knew a couple songs.
Right. Yeah.
And it was always great it was always great for me. I had a great time playing. But all of these bands that you're talking about, like people those are beloved songs.
Yeah.
And
No, it's you're right. It's incredible that I get to play them.
oh,
Especially not especially the Shins, but there's something about having once I was years into that and kind of having feeling like I had that um catalog of songs under my belt and be able to play with James and listen to his voice in my ears. It was like sometimes it'd be like, what the fuck?
that guy sings like a goddamn angel.
Yeah, he's an angel actually.
That guy
That's
sings
why.
like a goddamn angel. Uh, so he lives in Portland.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, it's just sort of like it almost seems like there's a cast of folks that just flows between a few bands there.
Yeah.
Is that relatively accurate?
I think so. I don't know what it's like now, but I mean, it certainly felt like that when I was there, and includes Malcolmus
Right.
and like Quasi. There was that connection.
Love that
That
goddamn band.
yeah. Um, I was just editing Janet's voice for a podcast and sort of scoring the podcast with Quasi songs, and I just went through the whole catalog. Woo! It's incredible. I can't wait to see them live again. They
There's
were.
not a stinker in the entire catalog.
I know.
Um, and I've probably owned featuring birds uh 10 times because I'll give it to someone, be like, no, this is here, take this. But now you don't have
Yeah,
to do that anymore because you can find it on streaming.
that's right.
She's incredible. Sam's
Yes,
like that band is incredible.
they are, and they're working on a new record.
I know. Janet played drums on a Couch Riffs video
Oh, yeah.
that is to be released, and it's my opus. It's fucking incredible.
Oh my God, I can't wait. That's
And she
rad.
crushes. She crushes. There are a lot of
Oh,
people. She's not the only drummer on the song.
oh, wow.
There are many drummers and there's many of everything. It's pretty
Holy
over the place.
smokes.
Yeah, you'll see.
Oh yeah, I will.
You off camera. But how did you know folks? Did you know Isaac from Seattle? From
I
Seattle?
did. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we kind of when I moved to I was dating Janet, full circle here. I was dating Janet when I was living in LA and playing in Blackheart, and then I was dating her, and then I moved up to Portland. And um I knew Janet, of course. I didn't know too many. I didn't know maybe anyone. And then I either learned or Isaac. Me and Isaac moved to Portland, I think, at the same time, and we had been certainly acquaintances, kind of friends over the years before that in Seattle. But then like we lived next to each other or near each other in Portland, and we just started hanging out all the time. That's when we were just hanging out a lot,
Right.
and that's when it seemed kind of to him, I guess, a good idea to ask me to play with Modest Mouse.
And what about your transition to playing in the Shins?
It was a similar thing where I what happened? I had been I had shared needed a rehearsal space to work on other stuff, just have my drums in Portland, and the Shins um offered to I just put my drums in the corner and I could use it when they weren't using it, so I shared a space with them ultimately. And then James and I would fiddle around in there. And then when Jesse was out of the band, it was quite a while. James and I were he would just have me play drums and he would listen to his songs, would, kind of work them out. Then a tour got booked and they needed a drummer. And James called me while I was on a Modest Mouse tour and asked me if I could do it. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Well, I talked to Isaac in the back of the bus for a while. We had a few beers, and he was like, "Yeah, just don't fuck us up." And I was like, "I won't." And so I went home, rehearsed for 2 weeks, and went on almost the exact same tour the next month,
Right.
where I played like five of the same venues. Um,
Did the double drum thing ever fully realize in Modest Mouse? It didn't.
yeah,
Oh, it
it did.
did. There,
Yeah,
there
the last few
full kit.
years, last 3 years, I had a full kit up there, and I would probably yes, it did. There was I guess it crept in there, and then there were songs where Jeremiah would just play percussion, probably 5 songs,
Yeah.
and then we would double Dramamine being one of the songs that was my favorite to play, double drums. I just follow them, so fun.
It's such a yeah, it's such a cool song, and such
Yeah.
everything about it is cool.
Yeah. So I did that, and then Modest Mouse started having a bunch of time off, and it was like a year time off.
History repeats itself.
History repeats itself, and I'm loyal, but I'm also anxious and get freaked out if I don't work.
Yeah.
So then I did the Shins for a while, and then the same thing happened with the Cold War Kids. I think the exact same thing happened.
what did the year leading up to COVID look like for you? And
Leading up to it,
yeah,
I was on tour until a month before.
is that right?
I was on tour. I got home, I think, on February 6th
Right.
or
Wow.
something. Maybe. And then I think I went to LA and played one show, and then tour was over, and then that was it.
How
That was
long
it.
how long has it been? Not the
Um,
COVID, but Cold War Kids.
Played a show.
How long has it been well let me
Oh, have I?
do math on that that you've been playing with them?
About 7 years. Yeah,
Buddy,
I know.
I'm catching a theme here.
I know. And then Taylor Hawkins is thinking about quitting the Foo Fighters, and Dave called. I don't know what to do.
uh, that guy could front a band. That guy can really sing.
Taylor?
Yeah,
I know.
he can sit like I wouldn't
He
have
can
him
do
sing like
everything.
duet ballads or whatever, but like he's he can he's got a voice. He's great.
Yeah.
Even though he fucking turned me down for fucking singing a song on couch.
What?
I know.
Oh man,
I'm not gonna
he'd be so
look. I'm
God.
not
He'd be
bitter.
so fun.
Look, I'm not bitter.
I think I'm only anxious to perform well on couch riffs.
Everyone's nervous their first time, but
Is
it's
that?
you know, it'll be fine.
I just don't want to waste your time.
But that's my job.
Okay. All right, I'll waste your time. I think I might have some new equipment that may help it.
So, last but not least,
Yeah.
you have a podcast, and
Yeah.
I want to talk about that so that
Yes.
people are aware that aren't, and
Yeah.
go give a listen. I mean, we referenced at the top because
Yeah.
that you've got a bunch of high dollar sponsors.
Um. Yes. I had the podcast I have. I had my podcast going. I think I had. I don't know, 6 episodes going. No, I had a whole season. I had about 10 episodes of my podcast Tour Stories going before the pandemic started. I had collected a few tour stories um, while on tour and or in my downtime. And I was just planning on doing season 2, and what Tour Stories is, or what it was me either calling someone or having someone record a tour story and sending it to me, and then I edit it together. I usually try to use their music to score the episode, and their stories, from cop stories to weird things with your parents walking on stage to losing a bass on tour. Um, with Michael Cera, that's a very funny one because he turns it into sort of a noir
Right.
uh, tale. And so it is still that. It is still tour stories, and I am collecting stories from people, and I would love some more from people. So if anyone, reach out if anyone has anything they think is good. I think it's all good, so you leave that up to me. I'll use your words. You leave don't be worried about your tour story. It's probably funny, or it's probably disgusting, or it's probably titillating. Or it's probably boring, but boring is good too because touring is fucking boring sometimes.
That would make it accurate.
Yeah.
Like,
So that's it. And then so I was about to start season 2 and start getting it together, and I decided I think April to celebrate the horrible situation of non-touring that we were in, and uh, do sort of a companion podcast called The Check-In, and I'm just calling artists and talking to them about what the fuck they're doing.
right.
And that's been fun.
What's the consensus?
Oh, what have they been doing for the last year?
It's interesting to
All over the place.
the arc, right?
Yeah. Now it's interesting. It's interesting again because we have a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And people are also sick of hearing about all of the insanities that we um, endured over the last year, especially as people who like to move. And so now it's a new because I'm talking a little bit more about the future with people and their new records. It's check-in is
Records
I'm
got
trying to
last
it's
year.
not necessarily new records for people, but I like to, talk about new songs and stuff that are out. But sometimes it's just an artist's song that no one's ever heard before.
Right.
So it's both of those things, tour stories and the check-in, all at ruinousmedia.com, which is something that has expanded for me in the past year during the pandemic, and we've got some other podcasts going, and I'm learning a new skill, dialogue editing and cutting people's music up, and it's kind of fun. It's
Right.
the power of the SM7, all these things.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So I have this idea, a lot of podcasts started in the last year, right? I
Hmm.
had my podcast also was going before. I think that you had your podcast going before, a little bit before I had mine going. I
Hmm.
uh and I think a lot, like, everyone and their fucking uncle started a podcast
Yeah.
in the last year, right?
Yeah.
And I think there was a massive influx, and a lot of people just dropped off because they were like, this is hard, it's a lot of work, man, it's boring. This part where you're not talking to someone and having fun is boring and
I
hard,
know.
and I
Yeah.
have to learn stuff. So there were a lot of people that just fucking peeled off.
Yes.
Then there was a whole other set of people who were like, fuck it, I have money, I'm gonna pay some other joker to do all that stuff for me.
Right.
And those people typically are already famous, and their
That's right.
podcasts are doing quite well. But I predict that when they are able to make money the way that they have traditionally made money,
Hmm.
they are gonna they are gonna peel away as well. Come here,
Yeah.
Rosie. Come on. This is Rosie.
That's a good point.
She wants to say hi.
Hi, Rosie.
Yeah, hi, Rosie. See, everybody loves Rosie. Um, but I think
Rosie
that
long and low.
no, Mr. Big is Rosie's about she's like a beagle black lab mix, so she's like
Hmm.
a perfect sized dog. She's
Yeah.
the one that gets the squirrels, and she caught a bird.
Oh my God.
For a long time, she was going after birds, and I would always tell her, like, Rosie, just give it up. You're never gonna get a bird.
Yeah.
Okay? You're never gonna get a bird. It's not in the cards for you. You can't fly. And then she got a bird, and she almost got another one last weekend.
God, I hope you don't talk to your children that way. Poor kids.
Anyway, I think that a lot of people are going to peel off, and I wonder. You seem like the kind of fellow who's going to move forward with this skill set that you've honed and sharpened. You can do this. Is something like I have three different podcast kits.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
a little Universal Audio Arrow. I've
Yeah.
got a little
That's what
Zoom
I'm using.
recorder that I can take for just quick and dirty.
Yeah.
Um, you can do it really compact.
Yeah. And I do that, and I did do some from the road, and I'm going to continue. And I also have a new podcast, which I'm going to have to. There's two things. I have a new podcast coming.
A third
It's
one.
surprising. It's a surprise, and it's a secret, and it's fun.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
long, weird name. I don't know if people are going to remember.
yeah. I wonder if I should reveal the name. It's an interesting name. It's going to be called Demoitis.
Oh, I love this.
Okay? And that's all I'm going to say. And we're going to start slow. I mean, maybe super slow. But the first one is pretty cool.
I think I can already guess. I mean, if the name is,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Oh,
know, half of the rock and roll people I talk to don't know what that means. And then the other half, it's really like it's like 100% people are like, no, I've never even heard that word. Or it's like, yeah, yep, of course.
I've suffered from demoitis many a time.
I can't wait to hear you tell me about it when I record you telling me about it.
Why not?
Yeah. So yes, I'm going to continue, and I just got word that I might have a tour in August.
Wonderful.
And I've got these podcasts and other things with Ruinous coming up. It's going to be busy, and I'm already planning on the road, more road recording and editing. But boy, do you have a lot of time on the road to edit if you're on a comfortable tour where you can at least sit somewhere. Sometimes in the past I haven't been able to sit somewhere besides a van.
Aside from having a book, or if you are lucky enough to be on a bus where you can watch a movie or something,
Yeah.
I mean, having something productive and potentially, you know, monetizable
Yeah.
is a fucking wonderful thing to have on the road.
I think so. Yeah. I remember seeing, and I have to go, but this makes me, and this is a quick funny story. The Black Heart Procession opened for the Sea and Cake in San Diego years ago, if you can imagine how long ago that might have been. And McIntyre was one of my favorite drummers ever. I don't think I had met him ever before. I was excited to share the backstage with him and talk to him, not bother him, but talk to him. And he was in the office of the venue working on Pro Tools the whole time, and I was so bratty about it. I was bummed because I didn't get to talk to him, but I was also like, what are you doing fucking working on tour? Why are you doing it's so uncool. I don't think I thought it was uncool, but there was something I just was like, damn it, that sucks. Because I remember he got off the stage and went back into the session. I walked because you had to walk through the office, and he was just sitting there, and it was like something I didn't even see
Do you have
before.
any idea of what he was working on?
No, I have no idea.
He could have been working on a drum session that he had to deliver for someone else,
Yeah,
whatever. Could have been
yeah,
anything, right?
could have been anything, and it was probably great. But I just remember thinking, and the other part of it is like, how can you concentrate on something else? We were on tour, but now old dad brain here can concentrate on all kinds of things.
I've learned a lot about multitasking, about prioritizing, scheduling
Yeah,
in the last like 5 years, but really at an accelerated rate in the last 2 years.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, speaking of dad brain, I got soccer. I got to multitask the soccer game. First game of the year.
uh,
First game, not of the year. First game ever.
break a leg, but don't break a leg.
That's right. Good idea. I got to fill out my
Yeah.
medical release too.
Good
Damn, forgot. Shit.
stuff.
I wonder if I can show him a copy of my phone.
um,
Well,
I
thank
thank you for giving me so much time.
thank you, man. I wish it could be more. I'm enjoying myself, but I got to go.
We try to
Just,
have time. Hey, do you have any high res images of yourself that you could send me? You see what I do? I fucking cut. I
oh yeah, I think so. Yeah,
graphs, yeah, and
yeah.
then
I
I
should.
put a silly background behind you, and
I
they
should.
bang, boom.
Performing or not performing? Not doesn't have to be. What
Maybe
would you
both,
prefer?
because I have to create a few different things.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll see. But I know I have some not performing high res, and there are probably some of me playing in that bundle too.
awesome.
It's all on my wall. I just look. There's a ton of pictures of myself on my wall.
Poster size.
Yeah, my wife loves it. Um. All
All
right, I gotta get going.
right, I really appreciate you giving so much time, and
Thank you. This is fun. I love the podcast, and I
good luck
really
with.
wish I could be on it longer.
I wish you could too, but duty calls, and your
Yeah.
son is much more important than the podcast, as we both know.
Yeah.
Good luck with demoitis
All
and
right.
everything.
Look at your screen. Does it say record still, or did you forget to?
Oh no, it says record still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
Hey Joe, you're
yeah. You're great. Thank you. Bye.
see ya.